The Fanfiction Power Hour is a comedy podcast between friends that does not attempt straightforward readings. The links to the fanfictions are in the description if you would prefer an unaltered experience and to support the authors by giving the stories a like. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Jen and Wizzy's Fanfiction Power Hour. I'm your host, Jen Reaper, and with me here today, as always, is my co-host, Wizzy. Say hello, Wizzy.
Hello, Wizzy.
Excellent. And now I'm going to have Wizzy talk.
Oh, I guess I'm not allowed on the podcast anymore.
No,
Alright, I'll leave.
we have to have Wizzy.
Hey guys, it's me, Wizzy.
Wizzy! Oh, it's lovely to see you.
Thank you. But remember, this is a podcast. You can't see me.
Oh, you're right. It's lovely to see you with my imagination.
I'm picturing you wearing funky sunglasses.
You mean like the sunglasses that Sonata is wearing in the fan fiction that we're gonna read today?
Oh, I would actually love those sunglasses. Those look cool.
They do look pretty great. So today, everybody, we're going to be reading a few fan fictions,
Ooh.
all by writers who we have partaken in, dabbled in a bit, but only once, maybe twice.
We stuck our toe in them. Or something less weird.
No. There's nothing less weird than that.
Oh, okay.
The first one today is going to be Psychonata by Majin Sieko. Seika.
Whoa! I'm gonna cheer for each of them because I like their stories.
They all definitely deserve that cheering. If you don't remember, Majin Sieko was represented on the podcast a bit ago. They made Solving for Death.
Wait a minute.
Apparently.
Is that... They made Solving for Death?
Yep, they made Solving for Death. I completely forgot about that. They also did The Night Sunset Shimmer Tried to Kill Santa Claus.
Yeah, that's the one that I was remembering.
Yeah, me too. Wow. Wild.
Let's go, Majin Siko. All right, we got to find another story. It's supposed to be our second time reading it from any of these authors.
I mean, do we even remember Solving for Death? Don't lie.
Yes.
I actually remember it pretty well.
Yeah, that was one of our first ones. It was a pretty memorable fic.
Yeah, but it was also one of our first ones.
Yeah. So from the same one where we did the brief reign of Princess Twilight, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, we screwed that up, I guess. Oh well. So yeah, I want to read this story anyways.
I'd call it a happy accident.
Yeah. This looks like it'll be an interesting story. This was in 2015, which was around the time, I think it was around the time Rainbow Rocks released. Either that or it was around the time Friendship Games released. I can't remember. Okay, February 2015. So I'm pretty sure it was around the time of Rainbow Rocks release.
Okay.
So yeah, this is actually a pretty old story.
Is that the one that first had Sonata, or?
Yeah, that was Rainbow Rocks was the one with the Dazzlings as the villains.
Okay.
And they have not necessarily been villains since then. They made a brief cameo in Sunset's Backstage Pass. But, and I think they had a music video as well that they starred in. But aside from that, they've only been in Rainbow Rocks. And so Rainbow Rocks is going to be the only canon thing that they have appeared in this one. So, yeah.
Okay.
Not sure if there's going to be any dialogue. So, we'll see. All right. With that out of the way, let's get into Psychonata by Majin Sieko. Chapter: Circular Logic. Sonata Dusk stared into the mirror. At the moment, she found herself very pretty. She was wearing the outfit she wore at the Battle of the Bands, exposed midriff and all. She was also wearing a Canterlot Wondercolt's headband, the ears painted to match her skin color perfectly. She couldn't remember how many sets she had gone through to get the mixture just right. Around her neck she wore a tie, her amulet replaced with a ruby of similar proportions. It was really hard to find one, for realsies, but after scouring enough jewelry stores and pawn shops, she had found the perfect fit. She played with it, watching it catch the fading sunlight. On her back rested a pair of fairy wings she had snagged from a party store. It had taken weeks to find the perfect pair. She giggled as she turned around to examine them, exposing her clip-on hair extensions. The hair extensions were easy enough to find. There were so many different hair colors in this world that it was just a matter of finding the right length. She thought they looked perfect. She turned to face the mirror again, taking in her perfection. She then glanced at the rose-colored plastic shades she held in her hand.
And now for the piece of resistance. I wonder why they call it the piece of resistance anyway. Shouldn't it be the piece of irresistibility? Anyway, time to put these babies on.
Oh, Sonata.
Is that how she's like? She kind of...
She's a ditz.
Let's go, Sonata.
Lover. Sonata carefully slid the shades over her eyes, her world turning a beautiful shade of red. The color of love, the color of life, the color of power. It was when Sonata saw red that the world made sense to her. Red was the color of control, when she warped someone's mind to bend to her will. Red was the color of blood, which flowed through her fingers in better times. More importantly, red was the color she saw when she became a goddess. This is significantly less like Sonata.
So, in this canon, she has murdered people.
I mean, she's never really not murdered people in the past that we know of, but like...
Okay.
It's mainly just because she's following her sisters that she's like with the bad guys. Like, I think she's too stupid to realize that what she's really doing is bad.
Still could be the same here.
Or like be so self-centered.
Hmm.
In the film, she's just kind of a puppy, you know? A puppy on the wrong side of history. A Nazi puppy.
No! You know, we do not stand Nazi puppies on this podcast. Sorry, Nazi puppies. You may be cute, but...
Gonna shoot you.
What?
You have to shoot all Nazi puppies.
No! We gotta take them to Nazi puppy re-education.
Nope, too bad. We're not gonna spend all the money on that.
Man...
It's really sad. At the Battle of the Bands, Sonata saw pure red. Sonata and her friends had ensnared the hearts and minds of so many insects that night. She still felt their hearts beating, their muscles twitching. She tasted their thoughts, their dreams, their hopes and fears as their fragile minds struggled against her complete domination. She remembered the sweet aroma of their existential terror as some of them fought her inexorable will. They battled so hard, they really did, but they had no chance against her. She was perfect. They were all perfect. Sonata frowned.
If we were so perfect, how did we lose?
Were we the bad guys flashbacks?
Oh, I think this is something a lot darker than that.
Oh, for sure, for sure. But, her eyes watered as she recalled the feeling of her soul being torn away from her by the equestrian magic those stupid girls had blasted with her. She reached out and touched the mirror, her reflection doing the same. She looked back into the mirror, seeing some paint chip off the false ears she wore. She noticed a slight tear in the wings on her back. The ruby weighed against her neck. The shades felt weird on her nose. She leaned her forehead against the mirror as tears trailed down her face, then lifted her head off the mirror and took in her form.
I'm still pretty, right?
Of course you are, Wizzy. Oh.
What? Yeah. Yeah, I know I am. Don't need to reassure me.
She tried to convince herself that she was still pretty, but all of the imperfections she saw and felt told her otherwise. She used to be pretty. She used to be perfect. Standing in front of her was a poor copy of what she used to be. She looked down.
I'm the worst. What made me think this was a good idea?
Another voice in her head emerged, telling her that this wasn't her fault. It was those dumb high school girls who stole Sonata from herself. Those stupid girls with their stupid rainbow magic and stupid pony ears and stupid color-changing hair. They were the worst, not Sonata. She triumphantly snarled as she stared into the mirror and balled her hand into a fist. She looked into the mirror and once again noticed how pretty the woman in the mirror was, how pretty she used to be. The prettiness that was robbed from her. She decided at that moment that she was going to avenge herself, or rather who she used to be. She was going to teach those meanies a lesson about taking important parts from people.
Maybe by taking important parts from them.
She thought as her mouth curved into a wicked smile.
I'll avenge the important parts of me, as well as Daji and Ari. Daji? Yeah, Dagio, that's it.
Yeah.
Those dummies won't know what hit them when Sonata's on their case.
Sonata felt the blood rush to her head as her heart pumped wildly, thinking of all the terrible things she could do to those girls to show them just what she and her friends lost. She was intoxicated by the flood of awesome ideas with which to exact her revenge upon those who stole for her from herself. She felt her chest expand and contract as her breathing quickened upon each awesome and terrible image that flashed in her mind. She giggled again, her laugh taking on a more sinister tone than earlier as she looked back into the mirror. She noticed that she was now hunched over, her smile now baring teeth and a crazy look in her eyes. She didn't think she looked pretty anymore. She looked monstrous. She looked like a wolf ready to strike. She looked like the apex predator she knew she was in her heart. She looked beautiful. Scratch that. She was beautiful. She felt beautiful enough to destroy someone else's life, to feel their hopes and dreams slip through their fingers like hers had, to strike pure terror into their hearts. She felt the clarion call of destruction as it pulsed through her very being. And that was the one thing they could never take away from her. Her inner siren.
Man.
The end. That was Psychonata by Majin Sieko. Well, Wizzy, what did we think of it?
I think I could totally see Sonata being like this. This seems like, realistic level of, I don't know. It seems fitting.
Yeah, honestly, it kind of is. I mean, I really don't think that she is like this at all, but
Hmm.
I do enjoy this interpretation of her at the very least.
I just remember in White Painted Walls when she was all like oh, she got better. She wasn't a villain anymore and she was healthy. I feel like this is like if she were the Adagio Dazzle from that story. I can't remember. Was that Adagio or
Yeah,
is that? Yeah, that was Adagio.
that was Adagio.
So like Adagio could be like visiting her in the hospital after this if you wanted to swap their characters, and I feel like she'd be acting more like this in that situation.
Yeah, I definitely don't see that happening. Like the Adagio Dazzle being swapped out.
Mm,
I don't see Adagio changing, whereas Sonata I can see changing.
that's fair.
At the very least, I don't see Adagio changing if Sonata goes that far. Maybe if she had the other sirens around, and also change, maybe she could get better.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I think if Sonata went down this dark road, she would go even farther. If just to one up Sonata.
Okay. I don't know. I like to think that she has Arya there, and Arya is the one who teaches her to be better or something. And then they go to visit
Oh god, no.
Psychonata
Arya's an asshole.
in the nut house. Is Arya?
Arya's a sarcastic little piece of shit who's just there to just sort of be Adagio's right hand
Mm.
and just sort of snicker at pain caused to Sonata.
Oh man. That's why they were in the Three Sirens.
Yep. Honestly, the Three Sirens is kind of the best adaptation of the Sirens as characters. Because, they're kind of pretty perfect for their respective characters that they play. I actually really did I've been growing a lot more fond of these types of characters, self-centered assholes, characters that you love to hate.
Yeah.
I've been really enjoying getting into their headspaces and all that.
Mm.
And I think this definitely really worked in that regard. I really enjoyed just listening to how she thinks. And with a bigger word count, I think it could have been better.
Mm.
Just delving into it a bit more would have been nice, but still, either way, I think it was really well done, that aspect of it.
Mm. Seems like it could go good in if you're writing a series where you have the 3 different 1,000-word fics for Sonata, Aria, and Adagio. And then you have a 4th fic where it all comes together. I don't know if that's what they did, but
That would be
I
really
feel like
cool.
it could work for that.
I mean, there is this one called Arya Wakes Up as a Zombie. Maybe that one is the Arya version.
Yo, it follows the events of the movie where Arya apparently died at the end.
Damn. I mean, if a siren was to die.
Oh, not Arya.
Quite frankly, it should be Arya. She's the least interesting. She's the most hateable. She's not even the main one.
We gotta read an Arya fic at some point.
We do. We've read an Adagio and now a Sonata one. We've read 2 Adagio ones.
Yeah.
Arya Blaze gets no love. All right, well, that's all I had to say about that.
Okay. Then I guess we can move to the next story.
The next story
the next story, because we're doing a total of 9 stories tonight.
Holy shit.
That's
What the
right.
fuck am I going to do for the thumbnail?
Maybe just say etc. at the end, you know?
No, I want to get everybody their dues.
I
guess we'll see.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to just tattoo the names and titles onto our faces.
Yeah. That'll fucking hurt, but okay. Gotta do what you gotta do.
I guess I can have Wet Equestria by the Drider Pony tattooed across my forehead.
Please, just Wet Equestria. That's fine.
Oh, man. But the Drider Pony, everyone deserves their dues.
Drider Pony, that's great and all that. But, like, you could just put Wet Equestria, and I think everybody will understand it perfectly.
Yeah, everyone wouldn't make fun of that tattooed on my forehead.
Yeah. If you guys don't remember, the Drider Pony had also made... That's the one. The Drider Pony also made Rainbow Dash's Awesome Nightmare Night Haunted House Choose Your Own Adventure.
Whoa!
Which we totally won. We fucking annihilated it. We got the best ending, actually.
We won on our first try, baby.
Yep. So let's see if we can win this one as well.
Ooh, I hope so. All right. Chapter 1. Rising Tides,
The only
Sinking
chapter.
Skies. I was just a filly when the waters came. No one knew where it came from or how. The water just was. There were no torrential rains, no massive ice melts. One day, every lake, every river, every pond out of nowhere began to take on water and burst its banks. Ponies tried to stop it, of course. They built dams and floods and invested countless bits in researching solutions. But no matter what they tried, whatever water they removed or displaced was always replenished by the next day. Not even Princess Celestia herself, embodiment of the sun and all its heat. Oh god, that's, foreboding.
Oh boy.
Could stop the rising tide. Her solar magic erased huge swaths of water, miles and miles of it with every pass. But even she couldn't be everywhere at once. The water always came back, and it never stopped rising.
Wonder if this was due to Luna.
Oh,
that fucking asshole with the whole tide and all
controller
that.
of the moon. Oh man, more likely Nightmare Moon than Luna, but
Nah, Luna has it in her to be a bitch. Fuck Luna. Going back to that.
This is Celestia sees the entire globe flooding and then looks at Luna and she's like, "What did you do?" And she's like, "I thought it would be funny."
God damn it, Luna.
We thought that was the worst of it. And then the first of the great cloud cities fell. No one saw it coming, but maybe we should have. Even before it, all Lost Pegasus had already been bloated and heavy with steel and dazzling lights. They needed teams of Pegasi just to keep it aloft. But it was profitable, so the ponies in charge kept it flying. Until one summer morning when over 10,000 homes, shops, and casinos fell from the sky and sank in the depths of the only recently named Lake Luxury.
Holy shit. That just fucking sucks.
Yep, this is actually what's gonna happen after global warming.
Jesus.
Hopefully I can die in Lake Luxury. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
There was a nationwide day of mourning to remember the ponies who had died. Ceremonies, speeches, even a memorial in Canterlot inscribed with all their names. I saw it myself once. Back before the nobility built their great seawalls and locked the gate. A tragic accident, they called it. Poor maintenance and bad luck. An inevitability of cut-rate construction. A tragedy. But no one connected it to the rising water. There was no reason to. And then Nimbusburg followed it a few months later. After that was Thunderstead, then Dewford, Cyrusshire, Newark. Nowadays, there's only Cloudsdale left. At least we all assume so. It's hard to say when no one's seen the city in years. Not since it became the Eye of the Eternal Storm. A never-ending cyclone powered by the wing beats of thousands of Pegasi, towering high enough into the sky to be the only true landmark left above the surface. Sometimes rumors make their way out, but rumors only. Rumors that there's not much of a city left. Just one giant weather factory filled with barracks and cloud generators that run day and night. Stories about an endless cycle of siphoning, patching, and fitful sleep. Whispers that if they were to stop, even for a day, the last cloud city would crumble and fall like the rest. It only hurt their efforts that Pegasus magic is so weak now. Before, you could build a whole house of clouds, and only need to do a little maintenance once a week to keep it together. Now, if I make a pillow when I go to sleep, I'll wake up with my head on the boat's hard wooden seat. And yet they keep going, trying to preserve some last vestige of the old world, like an elderly pet. I'm glad I didn't go there when she gave me the chance. Life is simpler on a boat. Mine's a sturdy little thing I bought off a salvage diver in New Haven, Connecticut. Wow. Just big enough for myself, my supplies, and some cargo.
Stop calling me cargo, goddammit.
I save the engines for emergencies. Gemstones aren't cheap. Charged ones even less so. I was never that good with Pegasus magic. But I can at least make enough wind to get from island to island. Trading's not an easy life, but it has its perks. I get to visit the different settlements, keep in touch with old friends, and there's always a buyer somewhere for salvage from one drowned village or another. Most settlements are decent enough, provided you know some pony inside. Applebloom still waives the duty fee whenever I make a run to the Sweet Apple Dome. It's one of the safer settlements, provided you don't mind crossbred seaweed apples and the ever-present knowledge that 1,000,000 tons of water are suspended above you just beyond the grow crystals and obsidian dome. Not great for Pegasi, though. We get antsy without a sky. The flood was a blessing to noble families of Canterlot. The ones rich enough to buy up the mountaintops before their bits lost their value and build their own little kingdoms where they could rule as they pleased. I've heard their mountain fortresses are like little slices of the past inside, but non-citizens aren't allowed past the outer sea gates, and citizenship comes at a price only the truly foolish or desperate are willing to pay. The flotillas are a dangerous mixed bag. Some are ponies who gave up on finding unclaimed dry land. Some are pirates and looters. Some are one pretending to be the other. That's a deadly mistake you make only once. I don't bother with them. Trust is a rare currency these days. I hear in the far north, Empress Cadence has been implementing some desperate scheme of artificial tribalism to try and bring back the Wendigos. It might cost 1,000 years of friendship, but at least you can trot on ice.
I believe it's actually in My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. I believe it is actually Windigos, Windigos. And now I know that the Wendigo, the cannibal one, is spelled with an E, but I do believe that canonically it is Windigos.
Okay.
So what the fuck?
Is it because they do stuff with wind?
Yeah, they're snow spirits.
Turns out Cadence is actually trying to bring back Wendigos, the horrible man-eating monsters. With the ponies I know, the favors I've saved, I could settle almost anywhere. New Haven, Port Appaloosa. I could probably even talk my way into Canterlot if anyone would actually faithfully deliver a message to Twilight. Sweetie Belle begs me to stay every time I bring more fabric to Rarity's compound, but I can't. I was born a Pegasus, but denied the sky. First by stunted wings, and then again when the magic faded. But when I stand at the prow of my boat, with a strong wind behind me and nothing but hundreds of miles of empty water ahead, I can't tell the sea from the sky. Author's note. Fun fact, the first draft of this story was written on a typewriter in the Quills and Sofas room at the final BronyCon.
Oh. Nice.
The end. That was Wet Equestria by the Drider Pony. What do we think of this one?
Wow. Okay, first off, Waterworld. Second, Wind Waker. Those are the two things that comes to mind.
Totally reminds me of that too.
But yeah, this is honestly just like, it's barely a story, but it's got great world building for a post-apocalyptic universe.
Yeah.
This is a great prologue. And I guess it's also just a great story. Oh, there was a sequel, actually. Look at that.
Oh?
Yeah, we can't read it.
This one has to have a sequel. What?
9,000 words.
Maybe eventually we could do a, 2-3-parter.
Perhaps.
Never say
But yeah, this was really great world building and stuff like that. And it makes me really want to read like a full story based off of this.
Yeah.
I think, actually, you know what? It did have it was also a pretty good character piece for Scootaloo.
Oh, yeah.
With her being a Pegasus in a situation where the Pegasi probably have it best off, but she can't be like that because she is a cripple. So,
stunted wings.
Yeah, good job. How about you, Wizzy?
Yeah, I thought this one was not as dark as I was expecting. I thought it was going to be more lonely on Scootaloo's part, but it actually seems like the way that they're talking about it and rebuilding the world is really nice. I mean, of course, the weird capitalistic aspects and Cadence trying to freeze over land by bringing back Wendigos is like, I don't know about that one, Cadence.
I don't know about freezing over land, but maybe water.
That's what I meant. Freezing a piece of water to turn it into land.
Okay, yeah. If there was, it's definitely dark. Like, you don't have a post-apocalyptic universe that isn't in some way should have the dark tag.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, the current mood of everything is just generally like, it does seem pretty chill for Scootaloo there.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
It's almost cozy, I'd say.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like that last line, especially where she's like, she can't tell the difference between the sky and the sea. That was like beautiful.
Yeah. How beautiful.
We're really going for like killer closing lines with these couple fics.
Yeah. But can our third fic get a killer closing line?
Oh boy.
We have a third fic, everybody. Something we've only done 2 or 3 times before.
The
third one is Red Sun Descending by Rambling Writer. And if you don't remember, Rambling Writer also did Best Hell Ever, which was also the last story in a multi-story episode. So, good job on these closers, buddy.
Yeah, we always have to bring in Rambling Writer to close things out really solidly.
If we ever need a closer, we'll call you, Rambling Writer.
I really hope that this one is really good so we can confidently say that.
Yeah. If it's not really good, well, way to drop the ball, buddy. So, I suppose let's get into Red Sun Descending by Rambling Writer. Chapter: Scorching Heat. Princess Celestia has a great many things she needs to remember. Most immortals do. Witness enough time, and you risk becoming unmoored from it. Like a word repeated until it loses all meaning. To aid her reconciliation, she has a sort of ritual. Before she fully turns in, she looks over a collection of relics. Curios from noteworthy events in Equestria's history. Events that might seem minor, but she can't afford to let go. She looks over them at least once a week, usually more often. They keep her mind sharp and her wits centered. A coin. A Griffonian coin. Back from before the idol of Boreas was lost. Gustav II had been a wily one, making simple paragraphs do elaborate dances as he twisted their meaning around. Loophole after loophole was opened and closed as Celestia hammered out a treaty with him. That 1 week taught her the importance of clarity far better than a century of philosophy ever could. Celestia turns it over and inspects the artistry. It's still quite something. A griffin's feathery fluff somehow captured in metallic miniature perfectly. No tarnishing, thankfully. A chunk of obsidian with an edge slim enough to slip between a dragon's scales. Can it cut through a dragon's skin? Celestia isn't sure, to be honest. She nearly found out, but her little speech to Dragon Lord Conflagra was mostly a bluff, and Conflagra didn't give her a chance to test it. She tried diplomacy, but the only diplomacy Conflagra understood was violence. So violence was what she got. A mug from the first time she attended Yxlurbertfest. No reason but fond memories. Truly, yaks know how to get smashed. Finally, she turns to the most important item. A skull. Shiny and polished and macabre. It comes from what is called the War of the Weakened Sun. She was anything but.
Is any of this stuff that it's talking about in the history actually in the show?
I think Yxlurbertfest is.
Oh.
And I think I believe Gustav II is, and we might, the Isle of Boreas, I believe, was also in the show.
Okay.
But that could have been a different idol, for all I know.
Man, that makes me think that Dragon Lord Conflagra probably is too.
Perhaps.
But the War of the Weakened Sun is not something that you have heard of?
Nope, I do not believe it is a thing in the show.
Okay.
Some smaller countries, bygone nations whose names have been lost to time, had an idea after Luna was banished. They looked on Equestria, one of its diarchs still reeling from the loss of the other, and assumed Celestia wouldn't be in her right mind, and so Equestria would be easy pickings. Alright, so my guess is that she wasn't in her right mind, but that was a bad thing for them.
Oh, no.
She wouldn't act rationally, couldn't mount a defense. They entered the borderlands, pillaging and burning and worse, and swept through the country with a shocking speed before Celestia received word. They were half right. Celestia wasn't in her right mind. They merely made a wrong guess about how she wouldn't act rationally. Grief and fear can make people do terrible things. Celestia looks at the skull, turns it over. She checks the preservation spells that have kept it intact for all these centuries. They're good. She shores them up anyway. Of everything in this room, these are the events she needs to remember the most. It was nothing more than a convenient outlet, really. One that was potentially morally justifiable at that. She needed some type, any type of catharsis. She needed something to hit. An invading horde provided a lot of somethings and someones. She wasn't thinking as she lashed out. Then, as it provided some relief from her, she kept doing it. Over and over and over. She cared for nothing but quenching the bloodthirst of her weapons and herself. Regardless of her mental state, that doesn't change the facts. Celestia had never led an army before. She still isn't sure she did back then. She merely descended on the battlefield and ponies flocked to her banner. She was easy to find in the throes of her magic, shining and golden and scorching and molten. She's also really tall, so...
That's true. And she can fly.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that this is, freaking Daybreaker.
Ooh, it could be. She gave no orders, directed no battalions, merely threw herself into the fray with a wild abandon. How dare they think her soft? At first, her opposition had charged her, thinking that she was but one mare. Technically she was. By the war's end, less than 2 years later, simply the possibility of her showing up could make entire armies surrender. Wherever she trod, the earth turned red in her wake. There's some dust on the skull. She gives it a quick polish. Perfect. She can still remember where she got this particular skull. About 4 moons into the war, before word of her was able to truly spread, a flight of frustration revealed some opportunistic deserters attempting to ransack town. Her rage burned, landing with the force of a collapsing building. She stood before those violent thugs and, in a heroic act of self-control, bade them leave before they hurt her little ponies, rather than torch them on the spot. One of them challenged her to a duel. Another burn. She ripped the impudent fool's head off. Even now, she can very nearly hear the pop. A shudder ripples through her body. For a conflict mostly waged by a single mare, the carnage was horrific. Peace terms were long in coming, simply because messengers lacked the nerve to approach her, even under a white flag. When some poor soul mustered up the courage, her inner fire roared for more fuel, but she accepted. When she cooled, she was stunned at what she was capable of. The scars on the land were plain. Foreigners flinched when hearing of Equestria, and far from singing the usual songs of noble heroism, the bards were shocked into silence at the wanton destruction she had wrought. It took more than a century for those whispers to bleed out of the public's mind. Celestia looks at the skull and remembers what she did. The feeling of sunlight scorching her veins, the screams of armies being torn down, the rotten damp warmth of blood on her skin, the sense of gore and smoke mingling together, corpses beneath her hooves getting trampled in her stampedes, ash and dust filling her lungs as she breathed like a bellows. The masses she left behind, bodies upon bodies of her foes. with no one to hold her back. It was butchery, whose like Equestria has never seen since. How she misses it.
Oh, no.
See, this is why you should never let your leaders go into battle.
Oh, God.
They just get a big head.
Yeah, and she has the biggest head of all the
Um,
ponies. Look at the size of that dome.
Yeah. That fat ass head.
Yeah.
The end. And that was Red Sun Descending by Rambling Writer. Well, Wizzy, what did we think of it?
All right. It's true. Rambling Writer's the closer. Listen to that line.
Yep.
That's the real cherry on top for all these fics.
Yep. Holy shit.
Like,
I was
it
like,
kind of sounded like she was enjoying this memory, but then the how she misses it just caught me off guard.
yeah. That was Jesus. That's dark, man. This definitely deserves that dark tag.
I 100% believe that this is the origin of Daybreaker, though. Because, it's like, oh, Luna goes off as Nightmare Moon, but she becomes Daybreaker because of it.
That would make sense. Although I will say, Celestia sounds like she regrets any thought of Daybreaker more than she regrets whatever she was doing here. So I don't know. I think this might just be her,
I like to think, well, because, like, it's still in this story, she stopped doing any of this bad stuff and is the princess we all know. But she's able to suppress
I
it.
suppose.
And when she feels it coming out, it scares her, But she still has that bloodthirst inside her somehow. That's kind of how I'm looking at it.
Yeah. I suppose that would make sense. In that sense, good on her for not giving in. Like 1,000 years, that's a long time,
Yeah. I think once Luna came back, it really took a weight off her shoulders.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that would take a weight off anybody's shoulders. You get to do like half the stuff.
Yeah.
Going from the sole ruler to the second ruler. Well, I guess still the first ruler, but that would be so much better for her.
Yeah. One person ruling an entire nation of idiots. You can see why it drove her to slaughter them all.
Let's just say.
Oh, God. That was a good one.
Yeah.
I do have to reference the last fic that we were reading. Not even Princess Celestia herself, embodiment of the sun and all its heat, could stop the rising tide. And then we get to this one.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a real nice contrast in these stories.
Yeah. Gotta say, of the threats in these stories, it goes Sonata, the least threat, and then a Celestia, and then the dang water, man. That water killed a lot of ponies, I think more than Celestia did.
Yeah. If it couldn't even be stopped by her, then yeah. That's the real moral of the story, is global warming is a threat to us all, no matter how bloodthirsty.
Yep. Celestia, you might have had a pretty high count in that war, but you are still second here, buddy. So sorry.
The ocean really said, "Hold my water."
God damn it. Yeah, this was another very nice character study. Mm-hmm. 3 very nice character studies in a row here. This one, I mean, I'm certainly more scared of Celestia than I am of Sonata.
Yeah.
Although I suppose if I were locked in a room with one of them, I mean, A, I wouldn't want to be locked in the room with the water, but B,
Oh God.
I don't know. I might pick Celestia, I guess. She seems like she has it under control now, so.
Yeah. But if you had to fight one of them.
Oh, Sonata's a twig. Ultimately, I would rather fight a human than a horse, so.
That's a really good point.
She doesn't even need her badass magic to do anything. She could just kick me.
Just a straight up horse kick with those giant legs.
Yeah. Don't fuck with horses, people.
Mm-hmm.
Or water. Water's really scary,
Please,
too.
do not fuck with the planet.
The planet's so cool. Why would you want to?
I love the earth. I love going outside and just feeling the ground beneath my feet. And knowing that I'm
I
connected to
don't
Mother
like
Nature.
that, but I like the idea of it. I like that the Earth is like a thing, you know?
It's just like right there. It's a big old rock in the sky. In space.
Yeah. That's deep, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, do you have anything else to say about it?
Yeah, I like to imagine that Celestia, when she's using her like special fire powers, actually just brings a beam of sunlight down onto people and burns them alive like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is what's happening.
Awesome.
Yeah, she is disintegrating ponies.
Man.
God, that's a scary thought. You know, if Sonata killed you, I think it would probably be like a bit slower.
No, that's
At
a good
least
point.
Celestia would seems like she would just rip your head off or burn you like within 0.5 seconds. And
Yeah.
then there's the drowning thing.
Oh yeah. Even the falling from the sky.
Yeah. Lot of death. Not particularly with Psychonata, although it's implied that she's going to try to kill some people. But, yeah, man. Highest body count for an episode, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Except for the one where Sunset did
There was
everyone.
Everash Project, that's right.
Oh, you're right.
Wait a minute.
I was making a sex joke.
Yep. No, she didn't do everyone. She just did, well,
Who?
Twilight. But which Twilight? Who knows? Gotta go listen to the episode. Well, I think that's it. Do you have anything else to say about it?
Panatrophia.
Oh, Panatrophia, that's true. You know what? Panatrophia probably did have more deaths in it.
Mm-hmm.
Just statistically speaking, that the Everash Project.
The Mare at the End of the Universe is another one, but that doesn't really have a high death count, I guess.
We had that after. Oh, well. No, yeah. We had that after everything went down and didn't really describe it all that much.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Well, I suppose Mare at the End of the Universe, it ends with everyone dying. Everyone in existence having died. Whereas Panatrophia, there are still the weird gods or whatever the fuck was happening at the end there.
Oh my god, you're right. I forgot about that weird thing.
God, what a weird one that was. So, I guess the Mare at the End of Forever was the highest body count.
Okay.
Because in the Everash Project, there were still a few people living at the end because they went to the moon.
Yeah, those freaking cowards.
Yeah. But, yeah. I guess go listen to those episodes, guys. Panatrophia, Mare at the End of Forever, Everash Project.
And I
or
Did
just read
Who.
the stories. Who cares? And I Did Who. Yes, you're right. Highest body counts. We should just have on whatever apps allow you to do playlists for podcasts. particularly YouTube, I guess. You should just have a playlist called highest body counts in episodes. It is just like, yeah, Patatrophia, this one, Everash Project, I Did Who.
Is there any other one where they like have sex?
No.
Dang. We're kind of vanilla.
I mean, there are implied sex stuff, but
Yeah.
it's never like anything where it's like, whoa, sex definitely happened.
Woo woo. Discord, get it on with Fluttershy.
Hell yeah. All right, everybody. Well, that is it for tonight. Thank you so much for listening in. I have been your host, Jen Reaper, and Wizzy Puff was also here as well, as he always is.
Yeah.
Just remember, if you ever have like bad thoughts, like Sonata or Celestia or the water, go talk to someone. Go see like a therapist or something, guys.
Please.
Like, I think you'll feel a lot better. You'll feel worse, but you'll feel better.
If the ocean is listening to this, please do not flood the universe. Just because you had like one bad moment.
All it takes is one bad day. The ocean becomes the Joker.
I'm the Joker Ocean. All right, good night, everybody.
All right, good night, everybody.
See ya. You know that feeling when they just use your mind and they never give you credit? It's enough to drive you crazy if you let it. 9 to 5. Yeah, they got you where they want you. There's a better life. And you think about it, don't you?
No.